Chapter 17, verse 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty God, walk before me, and be thou perfect. The Lord, Hebrew Jehovah, Appendix 4. Almighty God, El Shaddai. First occurrence, see Appendix 4. This title assures Abram that he who has called him was almighty to supply all his need. Compare first occurrence in New Testament for 2 Corinthians 6:18, which assures us of the same supply. Walk, continue to walk. Verse 2. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. Exceedingly, figure epizeuxis, greatly, greatly. Verse 3. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, Fell, compare Mary, John 11:32, and contrast Martha, John 11:21. God, Elohim, creator, used in this chapter, verses 3, 9, 15, 18, 22, and 23, because he creates new names, verses 5 and 15, a new sign of the covenant, verses 9 through 14, and a new thing from one as good as dead, Hebrews 11:12. Verse 4. As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Many emphasis, figure antimeria of noun for emphasis. 5. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name should be Abraham, for a father of many nations have I made thee. Abraham, the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, H, put in the middle of his name. Number 5, grace. See Appendix 10. Abram, exalted father. Abraham, father of a multitude. 6. And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. Exceeding? Figure epizeuxis, greatly, greatly. Appendix 6. Nations. Abraham was the progenitor not only of Israel, but of Ishmaelites, Midianites, Arabians, etc. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. Covenant unconditional, thy seed. Here, the collated noun zera is shown to be plural by the words after thee. Compare verses 8 and 9, and by the plural pronoun their generations, verses 7 and 9. This is not the verse referred to in Galatians 3:16, but Genesis 21:12. See note on 21:12 where seed must be the singular because of the verb. Verse 8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. From verse 7, everlasting, hence Israel so called, Isaiah 44:7, margin. Verse 8 footnote, land, stranger, Hebrew land of thy sojournings. Verse 9. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. 9 footnote, thy seed, still practiced by Ishmaelites and others. Non-circumcision was the reproach of all Egypt. Joshua 5:9. Verse 10. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man, child among you shall be circumcised. Verse 11. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. Verse 12. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man child in your generations, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. Footnote 8 equals the number of resurrection. Appendix 10, associated here with circumcision, the sign of death. Verse 13. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money, must needs be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. Flesh, synecdoche, for the whole person. Appendix 6. Verse 14. And the uncircumcised man, child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. Soul, Hebrew nephesh, figure synecdoche, for the person. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarai, thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall her name be. Sarah, the addition of the fifth letter, H, of the Hebrew alphabet, the number of grace, see Appendix 10, as in Abraham's case, verse 5, and Joshua's, Numbers 13:16. The letter H is common to both names, the names of Jehovah and Elohim. Sarai, princely, Sarah, princess. 16. And I will bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Kings, Sam, Ankh, John, Sept, and Seir, Reed, and Kings. Those are other old translations. 17. Then Abraham fell upon his face, and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear? Laughed for joy. Hebrew was joyful. Compare John 8:56. Rejoiced to see my day, and was glad. The laughter of faith, Romans 4:19. Sarah did not fall down as Abraham did, verse 3. 18. And Abraham said unto God, O that Ishmael might live before thee. 18. Might live, as though he thought Ishmael was to die, showing his faith in Isaac's birth. This is proved from verse 20. Verse 19. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And Sam, Ankh, John, Sept, Seir, read this and in the text. It's in italics down here, meaning the translators added it. Verse 20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation. 20, I have heard, showing the subject of Abraham's prayer. Exceedingly, figure epizeuxis, greatly, greatly. See Appendix 6. 21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. 21. Isaac, a Hebrew, laughter. Set time, see note on 1:14. 22. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. 23. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the selfsame day, as God had said unto him. Men, Hebrew plural of Ish or Enosh, see Appendix 14. Circumcised, hence Ishmaelites and kindred nations still practice the rite. And Abraham was 90 years old and 9 when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. 25. And Ishmael, his son, was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. 13, symbolic and in contrast with Isaac on 8th day. See Appendix 10, Ishmaelites and Arabians still circumcised in the 13th year. 26. In the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised and Ishmael his son. 27. And all the men of his house, born in the house, and bought with money of the stranger, were circumcised with him.